Hey, shalom, shalom. First, I want to start off by giving all honor, praises, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors into the elders, apostles, and bishops, GMS, Great Millstone, and rule well. Teach and edifying peace and blessings to you, sincere Akyam, wa Akwat, and House of the Faith. My name is Yeshaya from the GMS Arizona Church in Ottawa, Martizah. Gonna make an edifying video. A walk and talk. This week I was reading a lot through the Psalms, and the precept let me get it real quick, Salakia. This is Psalms, let's see, 120 in verse 7. And it says, "For I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war." Who is they? Ultimately, that's your enemy. And, in this truth, our main enemy is Esau, Edom. But the scriptures even do tell you that your enemy could be even they of your own household, right? Of the people that you're around, man. Your own family. And also in the Psalms, it says, seek peace. All right, this is Psalms 34 and verse 14. And that reads, "Depart from evil and do good." All right, seek peace and pursue it. So in this truth, man, we are beacons of light, beacons of purity. We are the children of light, as the scriptures say. So with that being said, you have to, make sure that you're maintaining that light, man. Taking care of your mind, body, and spirit. Okay? You can't be corrupted and let, these agents of chaos and these devils, sway you from being what you are, which is an angel of light, man. But you will be presented with situations that's going to test our integrity and whether we're able to uphold that same, that same purity, man. Because ultimately the elect are those that are sanctified in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. The elect are always going to put on that nature. And those that aren't truly of the elect are ultimately going to, revert back to wickedness, as a dog reverts back to its own vomit, right? A lot of guys that's going to say that they in this truth, that they love the Lord, they're going to take that MOTB, man. A lot of guys that say that they in this truth and they love the Lord, they go off commit adultery, or they go, fall out of this truth and seek after other gods, man. False gods. And that's not the spirit that we're trying to come in. This is Psalms chapter 34 and verse 14. Again, it says, "Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it." Seeking peace whenever you're dealing with people that are of this monstrous, dark spirit, means to divert your way from them, man. The scriptures talk about, rather not evil with evil, but rather good for evil, man. You got these devils out here coming at you some type of sideways, crooked way, man. It's always best to turn away. And if I believe it's Ephesians or the Philippians, it says, "Be angry and sin not." All right, it's important that we hold that integrity, being the fact that we're on a higher level of all these people, because we know better, man. These scriptures that the Lord has provided, give us the ability to kind of maneuver through these certain situations, man. Going back to Psalms 120 and verse 7, man. And and we're gonna see that a lot more, bro. Before I was leaving the house this morning, my wife actually tried to start up a problem, man. And start up, and you gotta as a spiritual man, you have to have discernment to understand that that's not my wife, that's Satan. Satan just woke up in this woman, and that's what we do, man. Sometimes we, the scriptures talk about in Peter, thinking not strange. Okay, let's get that. This is 1 Peter 4 and 12. It says, "Beloved, thinking not strange concerning the fiery trial which shall try you, as though some strange thing happened to you," man. It's not strange as to why a demon literally just manifested into your family members, man. These people are not spiritual people generally, man. A lot of times these family members, friends, foes, and co-workers and shit, they have literally zero control of being able to fight off Satan when he tries to hop on them, man. And that's the thing. You gotta understand when that nigga Satan's at the door. As the scriptures do say, it says, flee from Satan, Salakia. Resist Satan and he shall flee from thee. Call Allah Yahweh Al Shai precept came back, but resist Satan, man. Resist the devil and he shall flee from you, man. And a lot of times, if you feed into the bullshit that they're doing, if you try to render war for war, if you try to render flesh for flesh, ultimately, man, you're going to be on the worst end of it all because you know better to not do that. The scriptures say, those that reap to the flesh, reap corruption, roughly paraphrasing. We don't want to reap corruption. Reaping corruption means you're opening up gates to sin for your spirit. You open up a realm of darkness that it is no good for yourself, man. If you out here trying to be carnal with these carnal people, man. These people operate like unthinking beasts. They do whatsoever that they feel is good for themselves, whatsoever they feel like is meat for them to do at that time. They don't think about, pleasing the Lord when they're doing certain actions. They don't think about what would Yahweh Shai do. They don't even know Yahweh Shai. And even if they did know Yahweh Shai, they don't care, man. A lot of brothers have women in the truth that know the name of the Lord, that know the power of the Lord. They've seen what the Lord has done for them in their lives, and their women still be tripping. So the bottom line is you have to exercise your knowledge as a spiritual man to not render evil for that. Because going back to that Psalms 120 and verse 7, and it just shows you can't politic with them. And it says, I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. You can come in a spirit of peace, man. The scriptures talk about in Proverbs, I believe it's the 14th chapter or the 15th chapter, a soft answer turneth away wrath, which is very true, man. A soft answer does turn away wrath. The soft answer makes people to kind of recollect how they're coming, because why are they the only ones screaming in a situation? But at the end of the day, man, these people got spirits on them, and these people don't have that Ephesians, the 10th chapter armor to be able to fight off the wails of Satan, man. So with that being said, I am for peace, but when I speak there for war, thinking that's strange when that war is presented unto you from even your own household, and you be like, man, why the fuck is my child tripping on me? I'm a brother that doesn't have a child, so I can't say too much about that, but I know I have dogs. I got two big ass dogs. I got a Dutch Shepherd and a German Shepherd, and sometimes that German Shepherd, man, he'll be the sweetest little boy at one time, and then the next moment this nigga be trying to kill me. And you gotta understand when that's Satan, because I know what the type of dog he is, and sometimes Satan literally just hop on him, man. I know like, say one day you just kind of it all comes at you at the same time, like Job. Job, when he was presented with all that hell, he didn't even get to respond to one of them because the next messenger came and told him of the next thing. I believe that was the one of his children dying. And it was just so much at him at one point in time. It was like overwhelming. And that's what it could be like. But guess what? We're men of integrity. Also in the Psalms. This is Psalms chapter 7 and verse 8. We'll start up at verse... we'll start at verse 8. It says, the Lord shall judge the people. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness and according to mine integrity that is in me. And when is that integrity instilled by? That is instilled by Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. That is instilled by the Lord putting you through certain hells and torments and chastisements that gets you to be able to stand 10 toes down on what you stand for, what this truth is, and it makes you involved, man. That this is what you're trained in, man. And a beautiful point about that is Hebrews, the 12th chapter. And we'll start at the 2nd verse, man. Because you have to have a mindset of what would Yahweh Shai do when you dealing with all these certain things. All right? It says, looking unto Yahweh Shai, the author and finisher of our faith, man. You have to stop for a moment, man. We're not spontaneous. I believe that does also say that in the Psalms, man. There's a precept that kind of goes into that. We're not, we don't make hasty decisions, brothers. We have to think things through before we respond. we're stoics. Going into that word stoics, one of the traits of a stoic that the Apostle Gabar always brings out is that mental control, man. The ability to take a step back and really assess, your emotions. You have good emotional control. A lot of these idiots don't have no emotional control at all, and that's why they find themselves in such bullshit situations. That's why they find themselves in situations that they didn't have to be in, man. Whether it's you got in a physical altercation or a verbal altercation and it left your fucking life in a much worse place than it was before, that shit does not work, man. It might have worked for you in the world while you were reaping to the world and you were of the world, but ultimately the Lord doesn't like when you do that shit now. He didn't like it in the first place, and he brought you into this truth to show you to do the right thing. And if you still try to do the wrong thing, the Lord gonna be extremely displeased with your ass. Over here trying to do things that are reaping to the world. He that soweth to the flesh reapeth corruption. You have to assess the things that you're doing in the spirit. Like, what would Yahweh Shai do? What would the Lord do? We have to be godly men. We're not in this truth to be a bunch of niggas that know scriptures. We in this truth to take those scriptures and understand our heritage, man. Understand the type of people that we are to be. For so long we have forgotten who we are. And we take these scriptures because this is our history. This is who we are. This is the structure of our people, man. This is our characteristics. This is what the nation of Israel is. And it got ripped away from us, man, from our own iniquity. So as a matter of fact, this is us, man. You have to take these scriptures and you have to take that spirit of the Lord and you have to exercise it in your life. We're not niggas that just know scriptures, man. These scriptures are us. We are by these scriptures, made by these scriptures. These scriptures are for us. Psalms 147 and I believe is 19. He had not dealt so with any other nation, man. This is us. So you have to have that spirit on you, man. It says, for consider him that endures such contradictions of sinners against himself, lest he be wearied and faint in your minds. Ye have not resisted unto blood, striving against sin. So soon enough, we'll have to resist unto blood. And if you can't resist under just somebody talking shit to you right now, or somebody raising hell against you right now, how much more when your life's gonna be at stake? How much more when Esau Edom got a gun to your fucking face, yelling at you, calling you all these different things, and all of a sudden it says, well, this will all stop if you take this fucking RFID. And how much more then? And it says, and ye have forgotten the exhortation which speak unto you as unto my children. That's why exhortation is important. And a part of anything that's in his ministry is whether it's received, man. Brothers preach to feed the sheep. They don't preach just to throw food on the floor. It has to be, ultimately it finds who it needs to find, man. This truth, man. I know there's been certain times, man, where I was just feeling real down in the spirit. Like everything is going wrong. I open up the YouTube app and there'll be a video that is just specifically about my situation and the things I'm going through, and it helped me be nourished to stand strong, man. The scriptures talk about also in the Psalms, David talk about my knees being feeble, and that goes into him fasting all the time. When we come out of a fast, our food shouldn't firstly be fucking an In-N-Out double cheeseburger and shit. Your food should be the scriptures coming out of that fast, so you could extrapolate all the wisdom and reprove the way that you walk, man. To change the way that you were doing things. We eat the bread of Yahweh Shai and drink the wine of Yahweh Shai, man. We think of the Lord and not of the world. And that's the thing, bro. We haven't strived unto death yet, but it's very soon that we will. It says, verse 6, it says, for whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If ye endure chastening, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai deal with you as with his sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? And that going in the chastisements, bro. We have to deal with chastisements, because without chastisements, then you'll be a weak man. Verse 7, it says, if ye endure chastening, the Lord deal with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth? But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all you partakers, then you are bastards and not sons. And bastards, man. Bastards is just like a total reprobate, man. But also like a fatherless child. If you're a bastard of the Lord, man, the Lord don't love you, man. He's not intimate. He don't deal with you. He's not personal with you. Okay, and that's a hellish thing to go through in and of itself, brothers. The script. There's a saying in the world. It says, strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Or hard times create strong men create easy times, and easy times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. So that whole cycle, man. You know, we don't reap unto that shit. One sec. But anyways, you know, the scriptures, you know, you really have to apply them in your life, man. This is our salvation. This is our conduct. This is how we move, man. This is how we do. Going down to, let's go get a Sirach. This kind of walking talk, I don't know if I like it all too much, man. I keep on walking and certain groups of people, and all of a sudden I have to divert my... It's like it, never mind. But this is Sirach chapter 50 and verse 28. And it says, blessed is he that shall be exercised in these things, and he that layeth them up in his heart shall become wise. So, you know, when you train so well on something, it just becomes second nature. And blessed is he that should be exercising these things. When the time of trouble comes upon the face of the earth, guess what? You're going to be able to stand strongly with what you already have instilled in you by the Spirit of the Lord. It's not about, you know, oh, you know, we know all these scriptures. You have to apply them and you have to live them, man. And why I'm saying that too through the Spirit is because in certain situations like that, it's the hardest to apply them, man. When that pressure's on you. All right, when it feels like you almost not even making your decisions. When a boxer, man, everybody says, I got a plan until I get punched in the face. I think Mike Tyson said that. But we have to be so instilled in righteousness and the ways of the Lord that even in situations where at your own home, in the comfort of your own bed, your wife start tripping, your dog start tripping. This is a practice round, man. You have to see that for what it is. This is practice. Okay, the Lord's giving you an opportunity to get some reps in, to be able to control your flesh, to be able to control, you know, what you can control, man. The Lord will put you through certain situations like that. And you cannot blame the Lord as to why you fucked up and you went the wrong way, regardless of what you know. All right, the scripture says, you know, the Spirit of the Lord cannot be enticed, man. So at the end of the day, man, we you know, it's very clear that we in end times, man. We got to gird up and we got to do things right. I pray this lesson was edifying. I want to lastly give all honor, praises, and infinite glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Chakodah, Shalom.